On Saturday, all this talk about the 76ers leading up this week, all the pressure on James Harden, was this going to be a bad matchup for them? All of a sudden, Tyrese Maxey goes crazy with 38 points. Embiid looked good. Harden had a bunch of assists, and they look good. So let me ask you a question. After one game, Jay Will, has the narrative in your mind changed? All the consternation about the Sixers, do you feel markedly better about them now?
I do if Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris play this way consistently. I know Tyrese Maxey has, but Tobias Harris is also a key because that takes a lot of the pressure off James Harden, and then you can have James Harden in big moments step up for those big opportunities. But I think the days of James Harden single-handedly carrying offenses, that's over.
Go ahead, Vince.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. You know, you look at 5 for 15 for Embiid, and 6 for 17 for Harden. So where are you going to get some more offense? And we talked about Maxey at the beginning. He looked great. Then he kind of fell off a little bit. So now we're asking, where will Tobias Harris fit into this puzzle? Well, if those two guys are scoring 38 and 26 points, you don't need Harden to be spectacular, but you need him to be efficient and make the right plays and not turn the ball over. So, can Maxey and Harris continue to play well? That's going to be the key. I think the key on the road, when they get on the road, to see how they play in Toronto. Remember, Nick Nurse is a championship coach. He knows how to make in-game adjustments. He knows how to make adjustments in general. So those things you will be watching to see how they play game 2 and moving into Toronto.
Yeah, it's the coaching matchup between the doctor and the nurse, Doc Rivers and Nick Nurse. But that's what passes for humor when you're doing 14 hours on Saturday. But here's the point, is that there are no excuses at this point for the Sixers. The Raptors will likely be without Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., and Thaddeus Young in this game 2. Philly right now, Milwaukee's on the other side of the draw. Boston's on the other side. The Nets are on the other side. Things have broken very well for the Sixers.
It's easily set up for the Philadelphia 76ers to make it to the NBA Finals. It really is. I mean, look, we'll see. We'll learn more about them in Toronto because Matisse Thybulle cannot play.
Right.
So we'll see Tobias Harris become more engaged, more active. But if they get that kind of production from Maxey and Tobias Harris, along with James Harden, all the pieces, that's a championship team.
One more I want to do, and that was Saturday night on ABC. We had the Warriors or Nuggets in Game 1, and that was a close game, and then Golden State went to their death lineup, or the new version of their death lineup that includes Jordan Poole out there with Steph and Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, and they went nuts. And obviously, this was sort of the recipe, the formula that made the Warriors what we know them to be. So, Jay Will, when we saw that the other night, what did you find yourself thinking about?
Two things. Number one, there's only one death lineup, and that was the lineup with KD, Klay, Steph, and Draymond, that death lineup.
Okay.
There was the original lineup after that. This is more the PG death lineup that can still win a championship, though. They can still win a championship. So my thing is, if you're getting 16 points from Steph, but you're getting that kind of point production from Jordan Poole, with the way that they play, with the way that they're defending, this is turning into a very scary team at the right time. I think the emergence of Jordan Poole really helps this team go to a different level.
He is good. What'd you see from them, VC?
Well, I'll say this. When you look at that team, that lineup, whatever you choose to call it, you have individual scorers who can get their own bucket and get into the paint. They're gifted. So when you put that type of lineup who can get can get to the basket at will, but can shoot the ball, the floor is spread. And that's what's going to make them dangerous because Draymond understands who he is, what he needs to do. He's a great screener. He replaces where the floor is still open, and Jordan Poole, obviously Klay, as well as Steph, can eat, and Andrew Wiggins can do the same. So the floor is space. When you beat a player now, like you're late every time, and these guys make the right decision, and that's what makes them so tough to guard.
And look, at the risk of overreacting to one game, the Warriors did that with Steph really just working his way back in, actually coming off the bench. In the meantime, the 2 seed in that conference, Memphis, looks like they are going to be in a dogfight with a good, tough, young, scrappy Minnesota team. So in the way we said things are starting to break a little bit nicely for the Sixers, right this moment, it feels to me like it might be for Golden State as well, Jeff.
See, we have the narratives twisted a little bit. Memphis is a young, scrappy, hungry team, right? Who's not a veteran team.
Yeah.
You're playing against a Minnesota who is a veteran team led by Patrick Beverley, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns. So, Memphis got punched in the mouth. at home. Like, I expected this. Like, there needs to be a dogfight so they can get their playoff legs. You know what I mean, VC? It's fine to be sustained excellence throughout the regular season, but playoff endurance is something different that they're going to have to learn about as they go through this round.
That game didn't feel like a fluke. I mean, if you watched it, that didn't feel like Minnesota. I know they had a play-in experience. I know that's not the playoffs, but it sort of got their sea legs under them a little bit. We'll see, but game 2 figures to be enormous. All right, get back on the radio. Thank you, my man. You're the best. Jay Will.
Congrats again, VC.
KJ, and awesome. All right, yeah, these two will have to settle that later. As
at the buzzer. Did somebody's grandma just make a sweet potato pie? Damn! I can't believe it.
Listen to Cornbread Maxwell. Jay Will makes his way over across the hall from ESPN Radio. All right, unbelievable finish, about as good as it can possibly be. Show us how it happened.
All right, so just know this going into this, all right? Steve Nash and the Brooklyn Nets offense, it's more like your go, my go, your go, my go, your go, my go with Kyrie Irving and KD. But Boston actually runs sets, which they executed down the stretch. So off the bat, you're going to see Marcus Smart stay on this side of the ball, keeping Kyrie on this side of the court. And you're going to see Al Horford making the right defensive play, coming up here for the blitz. And now look at the time and situation here, okay? They have 2 timeouts. They decided not to call any timeouts. If I can get the button to work, it's not working, that's fine. 2 timeouts right here. You see it in the bottom left-hand corner. You could call timeout. Here they come out with the blitz. Let's let the play go. He comes out. Here's the shot Kyrie should have taken. Great job of Marcus Smart.
There. Yep.
Catch him here in the hezzy. Now look, as he comes out on this side, he's coming. Look, he's parallel. His feet are parallel. That's not how you want to close out. You're going to see Kyrie able to attack this version right here. That could have been a shot. I wish Kyrie would have taken this shot. Right here, boom, that should have been a shot. He decides not to, draws it in. But watch this, while everybody else is going, look at all the blue. Look at the blue people here. Standing, standing, standing. Everybody watching Kyrie, nobody moving without the ball. They end up getting a tough shot. KD kicks the ball out, gets double teamed. Great defense by Boston. You have to give them all the credit in the world. That's one heck of a contest, and great defense by Boston. As the ball comes down on the next possession, look at how Boston operates, guys. He drives here towards the baseline. Ball gets kicked out. Now, look, this is a shot, guys. Marcus Smart, last year, 2 years ago, he takes this shot. He takes that shot. There's no doubt about it. He takes that shot. He decides to give a head fake. 2 defenders goes up. Now, I'm going to go back just a tad so you can see what I'm talking about here. Ball goes here. Boom. Now, look at this, guys. KD is guarding Jason Tatum. Where's KD, Greeny? Where's his head?
Yeah.
His head is looking at the ball, right? Shot fake goes up. Ball. Look where Jason Tatum goes. Boom. Right back here. These little plays, nice spin move for a layup. So look at one team plays, your go, my go, your go. Let me stand and watch you, Kyrie, do your thing. Oh, I have to take a contested shot 5 feet behind the three-point line. The next team comes out. Marcus Smart makes a play. Jason Tatum cuts without the ball. Easy layup.
That's extremely well done. We bring Vince Carter into the conversation as well. Look, I spent the whole weekend with Stephen A. and Jalen and Michael Wilbon.
Come on, Vince. Stop wearing the Carolina blue stuff all the time.
Okay. I know about the back and forth, but we got to stay focused on this because we had this unbelievable finish yesterday. But that is one of the things that came up a lot with these guys this weekend is the difference in coaching, where in Boston you have the first-year coach who is going to be a candidate for Coach of the Year on the turnaround that they had, and in Brooklyn, one wonders if Steve Nash is really doing practically anything there, and that little sequence there may have supported that question.
Green, it's something that people have been talking about around the league for this past year. How would Steve Nash do in-game adjustments? Blake Griffin, DNP. LaMarcus Aldridge, DNP. Not buying minutes. Bruce Brown, for all, giving bulletin board material, didn't really do it. VC, I don't understand. In the game scenario, why is it not KD and Kyrie involved in the ball screen? It's that simple. No ISO, ball screen. Force him to switch or force him to blitz.
Go, VC.
I talked about the same thing, and you can tell in that situation, Jay Will, they chose Claxton as the guy they're gonna run off to double team. And the one thing about Claxton, you say you have to move, replace yourself, give Kyrie or KD more space to operate. If they're going to leave you, the first thing you're taught is run to the front of the rim first. Now that makes the defense collapse, which will leave an open shooter somewhere on the floor or allow Kyrie to get in the paint. So, yeah, I think at the end of the game, if you're going to play ISO ball, you better make sure if there's going to – you have shooters and scorers on the floor. Claxton, to me, a non-scorer. He's an offensive rebounder. Yes, there was no pick and roll, so you have to move Claxton to the other side of the floor to give Kyrie a little more room to operate. And then, Jay Will, I think he takes that jump shot.
In the defense of Coach Steve Nash, we talked a lot about how this team has barely played together, right? I mean, Kyrie wasn't there, all that kind of stuff. Is there some element of that where they just don't have the kind of fluidity and congruity that a team might normally at this stage?
No, that you had 2 timeouts left.
Yeah.
Like if you happen to see the blitz coming up, if you're not prepared for it, timeout. Draw up a play. You still have 8 or 9 seconds left on the shot clock.
Maybe if you have Kyrie Irving with the ball in his hand, you're just thinking to yourself, that guy is going to find a way to score.
BC just made mention of it. Personnel. Look who they run off of. Nick Claxton, he's not moving around with the ball. He's nowhere to go.
Yeah. He might have been afraid to go back to the free throw line because he missed 2 shots from the line.
And the spacing, guys. Look at the spacing of that.
Yeah. Go ahead, VC.
Bruce Brown and KD are standing right beside each other. It's just the spacing as well. If somebody is in that corner by the Boston bench, Kyrie does have an outlet there, but his outlet is now behind him to his right, so he's looking back, Bruce Brown, and beside Bruce Brown is KD. If there's better spacing where KD is in the corner or up top and Bruce Brown in the corner, the floor is open where Kyrie can still get in the paint and find shooters, but all of his outlets were behind him.
Okay, so that was an unbelievable finish, an unbelievable game. I want to take advantage of